Hi, I'm Globe, and this is Verbal Tea. Verbal Tea, the podcast where we explore topics through journal entries. Today, I have an amazing guest. I mean, they're all amazing, but I have another amazing guest, especially for this specific topic. As you know, for May, we are exploring the concept of motherhood.
Mommy! 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 Mama!
And today I am going to be discussing letters we wrote to our mothers with this amazing guest named Fatou. Fatou is amazing, okay? Amazing. I met her on another podcast and have been following her for over a year now. Um, they are the hosts of This Could Be a Book podcast that is about a Black woman, a nerd, a polka dot straight jacket wearer, a hot ass mess walking, a beautiful hybrid of all things evil, spicy, loving, dead, sweet, and alive. An avid journal writer, a book writer in the making, a current fighter of mental health brokenness. We are going to have such a healing, enlightening, empowering, and maybe tear jerking experience today. I am so excited to introduce to you all Fatou.
Hello, humans. I haven't said that in a long time. That felt good. Thank you.
Yes, I bet. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And the name again, verbal tea that's just priceless. I love it. It's such the wordplay. I love it.
Thank you so much. I love it too. It kind of sounds like the shade room, but it's not.
Mhm.
I mean, it could be the shade room about yourself because that's what my journals turn into sometimes.
Yeah, but the tea makes it healthy. So
Exactly. Instead of herbal tea, it's verbal tea because we're using our words.
I'm telling you, I'm waiting on a mug. That's gonna be so cute.
Yes, I am planning to make some merchandise this summer. I've got my little quotes that I'm going to have. So I'll keep you and I guess the listeners up to date on that.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm excited. I'll keep an eye out. That's gonna
Yes,
be cute though.
I think so. I can't wait. I haven't been a t shirt person that long, but I now know how to make t shirts into corsets. So,
Oh, that's really cute. You're gonna have to show me about that. There's one that I would like to do of mine.
yeah, okay. I bet I can show you. I've watched endless YouTube videos and I do it with zip ties. I'll do the bonding later.
YouTube is like the leader of the country at this point. You can learn anything on there.
Anything.
Jeez, there's no excuse to not know how to do something as long as you have access to YouTube at this point.
Listen, I do burlesque and I've been upping my costume game. At first, I was just in something cute and doing some cute dances, but now I'm stoning and things like that. And I wanted a boa. Those things are they can be like hundreds of dollars, okay? Hundreds.
Are you serious?
Hundreds, yes.
Oh, you
I,
know what? Probably because you have to do all of those feathers by hand. So it's probably very, yeah, I can see. But
yeah.
dang.
So I found that you can make them out of tulle.
Interesting. You can go on down to the Hobby Lobby.
Exactly. So first I was on Etsy and I'm seeing them. They're like $90 for 6 feet of them. And I was like,
It's a lot.
So I live right by Michael's, Joann's isn't far. And I made my first one for maybe like $15. And it was short. It was kind of short. It's like 4 feet long. And last night I made a 6 feet big wide one that's yellow and it looks good. So
For your
good.
next show, that's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
When you make your own, you learn it. You can make your own colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can make them as long or as short. You can do whatever you want. It's not just I'm gonna pay $100 and I can only wear it with this outfit if I can't make it work. So yeah.
Exactly. And I feel it impacts my performances too because I have I'm wearing my labor, so
Mhm.
it makes the whole routines just
Takes pride.
translate better. People can see it. They're like, we can see
Mhm.
you put a lot of work into it. It's like, yeah, because I didn't just make the routine. I didn't just pick the song. Everything I'm wearing is, crafted with my love for this art. So
How did you get
yeah.
into burlesque?
Oh, um, so I have people pleasing tendencies that I am recovering from. I'm a recovering people pleaser. That's how you should
Oh, you
preface it.
are. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's how you should say. Don't say I have people pleasing issues. Say you are a recovering people pleaser, because that's what I am. And I have this producer, designer, costumer, contact that I do anything for. She asked me to be in it. I'm like, yes. And I used to just be in fashion shows for her and wearing her costumes. But she also is a burlesque dancer and producer, and she asked me to be in her 15-year anniversary show. I said yes, and she said it's a burlesque. Me, I had no idea what burlesque was. But I already said yes. So I looked it up. I'm like, okay. I started on YouTube looking up what it is, what it means, and looking up the legends. My husband and my friend made a song for me to dance to, and it just happened. And I fell in love with it. I got to perform, but I also got to see everyone else's acts. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, this is everything I love. I was a theater kid. I always wanted to be a fashion designer, but kind of fell off on that. And I love to dance. I always was on the dance teams at church and things like that. So it's like a blend of all those things I used to love.
Hmm.
Like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. She starts telling people about me. So I'm in other shows, and then other people see me, want me to be in their shows. And this year is my first year actually shooting my shot to be in other people's shows like that I've never made contact with.
Hmm.
And it's been going all right. I applied for two and got into two.
All right, congrats.
And then, meeting other people. And they're like, you
Hmm.
should meet this person. But I love it. It's so fun. And I've evolved a lot from just putting on some cute lingerie to rhinestoning, making costumes. I dressed for 420, I dressed up as a blunt. And then weed and fire. Like it was a whole little journey.
That's cute. I bet you it boosts your confidence though too. Like it helps
Oh,
with your self-awareness and like just kind of your self-esteem would just, I'm sure, skyrocket.
oh,
Especially the more
absolutely.
comfortable you get, the more, yeah.
It helped me fall in love with my body because my body changed dramatically after having my son in 2021.
Hmm.
As my daughter, I just snapped back. I don't know why, but I did. But with him, it's like 40 extra pounds just here. And I got the butt I always prayed for, but I always said you can't get the butt without the gut, right?
Right.
So, doing burlesque and learning how to celebrate my body and show off the highlights of it,
Hmm.
it forces you to appreciate your body in a new way. It really does.
Yeah. I love that.
Thank you. Someone asked me how I got into burlesque, and they're like, wow, burlesque on a
Mhm.
dare.
Right. You gonna do this? Sure, sure. Oh, this is what it is. Oh man. And you're right. Being there are some people will come back and say, no, I'm just not comfortable with that. And then there are some people that say, you know what? Fuck it, let's roll.
Yeah, that's me. If it's
I
artistic,
choose the other one. Yeah.
I'm gonna find out.
Because it could be like the best thing in your life.
It
Almost like
is.
with foods to a certain degree. When
Mm-hmm.
people say if they've never had something, they just know that you don't like it, then you could be missing out on the best. It could be disgusting, yes, but why not?
Yeah, that's true. You never know. And
Mhm.
just try it once. I mean,
Mhm.
not drugs, you guys, or whatever.
But we're not.
But but when it comes to adventures, art, food, just give it a try because it can open your world in ways you never conceived.
Yeah, take you places that you didn't realize were for you.
Absolutely. Like podcasting.
Right, that part and the spinoff. Yeah.
Seriously, I never liked being on a camera and I'm still getting used to it. But I love podcasting. I love the people I connect with. I love the messages I get from people who listen to me. Because I thought just social media, I thought that was really validating using my voice that way.
Hmm.
But podcasting expands your reach. And so now more people are feeling heard and seen by what you say.
Right. And then people tell people and so on
Exactly.
and so forth.
Lady's Speech said in a previous episode that everything we do is our legacy, especially what we're doing online, because nothing on the internet dies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's changed how I think about everything now. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is our legacy.
It
Because
is, because people are going. It's not going to go away. I was just telling Dana the other day that it feels like we're going back to Total Recall, like the newer ones, where everything is so face, arm, with all of that generated, that if somebody even mentions your name, something could pop up, and it's like whatever you said, and you have to own it and can't be embarrassed. I mean, you can be embarrassed by it. There's things that we do that we regret, but for the most part, let's leave some positive footprints.
Yep, it's all there. You got to stand on what you said. If you said what you
Mm-hmm.
said, you got to stand on it. Only say
Mm-hmm.
what you said, okay?
Correct.
That's the standard now.
Right, that part. Because I dislike when someone says something and then you check them on it and then they backtrack. No, that's what you said. Stand on what you said. Absolutely.
Right, or admit that you have room to grow.
Correct.
But some people do backtrack and they're like, "Oh, it's just a joke." Can we stop that, please? Can we stop
Mm-hmm.
masking our messiness and our unpopular opinions with "I'm
Mm-hmm.
just joking"? Stand on it.
You're right.
Stand on it. Why do you want that? Why do you even want to show the world that you don't even mean what you say?
Because they don't feel confident in their words and their stance.
Yeah.
Sadly, most people live with a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And some people's masks are never revealed. It's just there and they're able to keep it going, and unless they're at home by themselves. But it's really hard. It's uncomfortable for people to be outside of the norm. They have to go along with the masses. They have to be popular with the current whatever it is. Otherwise they feel they don't have, like, I guess, a real life. And then I, on the other hand, think that, like, I have to march to the beat of my own drum. Sometimes I was going with the crowd because I may like what's going on. But sometimes if I don't, I'm okay to say that's not for me.
Yeah, that's how I am. If I like what everybody's feeling, then I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be true to me because I don't want to be old one day where you really don't care and just regret all that time I worried being
Mm-hmm.
preoccupied with everyone else's standards. Like, I'm 80 now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I,
tomorrow's not promised.
I feel that way with all those, my heterosexual life. Like, I feel like I wasted a lot of time unnecessarily when I could have
Yeah,
been where I am and happy.
that's fair. I hear that a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I feel most comfortable in queer spaces,
Mm-hmm.
because they the community understands what it means to step into your own and the power of that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's so warm and welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
what church used to feel like for me when I used to go back to church, to my father's church. I'm like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in so long. You're so beautiful, blah, blah, blah." That's how going into queer spaces feel for me now,
Mm-hmm.
because they're just uplifting you, because they're going to uplift themselves. They're going to feel good about themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not worried about putting anyone else down. And so
No,
and
those who are just miserable people, but I haven't come across any of those people. You see them online, but
yeah.
they're not in my space, so it matters, but it doesn't matter, if that makes sense. Like, they're over there, and I'm not going to come in contact with that negativity, and I can scroll past that. But even that is few and far between.
Yeah, every now and then you'll see it online, but in the spaces in real life, it's
Never.
all warmth, all love,
Yeah,
just
it is.
a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad that you're taking this time back, because
Yeah.
look, always say that I'm 80 in my mind. People are like, "I'm an old soul. I'm so different than everyone." No, I'm an old soul in the fact that I exist as if today is my last day.
Mm-hmm. I literally said I had gotten away from that. And I texted a friend not that long ago and said, I just want to feel alive. And I want
Mm-hmm.
to, tomorrow, our very next breath is not promised. I could be talking to you 1 minute and dead the next, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I need to live, I need to feel as
Mm-hmm.
if this is my last time to ever feel it.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, speaking of that, we will get into these truths. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
when
Yes.
I just want to preface this. When I knew I wanted to talk about motherhood, you were the first person I knew I wanted to discuss it with.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Why was I so honored?
Because just the conversations we had
Yeah.
previously, because I remember being honest with you about planning my wedding and what I was going through at the time with my mother, and you were just very transparent and had a nuanced perspective. And it's really hard to get that from people when it comes to their mothers. Even
Mhm.
it's typically really polarizing, which is understandable, completely
Mhm.
understandable. But you had a nuanced perspective, and it just seemed like you had already done a lot of work to get to where you are with how you feel about your
Mhm.
mother. And so I was like, that would be the perfect person to have on to discuss this.
Thank you.
Yes. So I will let you get into it. Did you want to read it, or did you want to just read an excerpt?
No, I'm gonna read it.
All right.
And it is, and I have my little pen over here because it's, I know it's gonna make me feel a kind of a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll explain later. But her name is Bertha, so it starts off as Dear Bertha. Contrary to your belief, I am not mad at you. I forgive you for what you think was great parenting. Deep down, however, I'm sure that you know that you were not even a good mother.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I forgive you. I will admit that it took me years to get to this point, and it was not until that I realized and accepted that you don't like nor love yourself. So how could you possibly like or love me?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the amount of stress, guilt, and lack of love that I had for myself fizzled away. This was enough to remove that deep hatred and anger that I had towards you and allowed for forgiveness. It also allowed for me to see you as a human being along with your being a monster. I do have to thank you for the hardest day of my life that activated the energy and villain in me that refuses to let me give up on me and my life. I thank you for the hardening of my skin, my mental toughness when I am in difficult situations, and my ability to walk away from anything and anyone who means me no good. Sadly, for you and me, you have been added to that list. I wish you
Mm-hmm.
the best of life, luck in life that has to offer you while you are breathing and when you aren't.
Ooh.
The end.
Whoa.
Whee!
See,
Makes me feel away.
nuanced perspective.
Mhm. It
All
took me a
right.
long time to get to the point where, because for a long time, like, and people say hatred is really deep and really harsh, but I hated her.
Mm-hmm.
I hated her not for what she did to me, but also for the mistreatment of my brothers, which made us very scattered and put turmoil between us. The only thing that solidified us for a long time was how we felt about her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to a certain point, it still solidifies us because she's still not good to any of us. Um, I think about these last, let me see, my aunt came in November. So after Thanksgiving, so she had to have, I think I showed you before that she had heart problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so she ended up having to have that LVAD machine where they have to put the machine directly on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary, actually horrifying to know that a machine is keeping you alive. Um, but what's also saddening is that still in those moments, you cannot realize the type of human being that you are and make a change. So it's like, you're the biggest churchgoer, as I call them, Bible thumpers. You
Mm-hmm.
still haven't gotten the lesson that God is showing you in the way that you should live your life. And you're being broken down and broken down, and you still have not come to realization that you are not a nice person and that you should change your ways. You're still in denial. And maybe it's that is what's keeping her alive, but alive for what? What's
Oof. That is definitely disheartening to hear that
Mhm.
her life is on the line,
Correct.
and
Correct.
still no self-awareness.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And a lot of you get some people, friends, family, people that just hear that you don't speak to your mother, and so many people. Okay, there should be, yes, that blind love, loyalty for your mother. If it's not reciprocated, you have to then leave that alone,
Mhm.
because the reciprocation is what makes you loyal, makes that love, and makes that trust. If you don't have that, it's probably also the opposite of abuse, and it may not just be physical abuse to me, even though it is should not happen. Mental and emotional abuse are so much worse, because it's hard to recover from that without some serious work. Physically could be the same way. And I don't want to lessen one more than the other, but that's just my personal, when I think about how you change your lifestyle to fit what's going on, especially when it's an authority figure as your mother. You change who you are to fit the mode, to try to make peace, to try to make happiness.
Yeah.
And then once you can't hold that anymore, you have no clue of who you are. And you're bursting at the seams to do something different, but you're scared, because the loss of that connection could be the loss of you. But really, it's best for the loss of you, not physically, but emotionally and mentally start over. And that's what I had to do, essentially. Um, but it still took me a long time to get there, because I still tried to mend the relationship. Um, but when I realized this, damn, I'm sorry, y'all, this is a heavy moment, but this fire detector thing that you were hearing, you will hear it for a little while and then it goes away. It is
Mhm.
drives me insane. But when my mind broke, I like to say that when my mind broke and all the things that I had stored away so deep that I didn't realize was even there came about, I had to ask myself, really, who are you?
Mm.
Who are you? And then I had to build me back up from scratch. I love who I am now, though. Still some of what is there. Um, but when I think about the relationships that I let go, and relationships in all ways, not just platonic, familiar, all of those, um, dealing with those situations from that hardened state, I wonder if my life would have been, I'm not going to say better, but different.
Mhm.
Um, because at moments, I disappear and then I pop back. Um, and I hate those moments, because I would still like to be very relevant, but I just can't. And I think that goes back, I know it goes back to her and what I endured. And I just haven't broken that yet, but I will break that before I leave this earth. That I do know.
So you had to first of all, I want to thank you for being so honest and transparent with us. And I just wanted to say what it sounds like is you had to rebirth yourself,
Mm-hmm.
like literally and spiritually, emotionally, and every way that you can think of
Mm-hmm.
besides pushing yourself out, I guess. You
Mm-hmm.
had to rebirth yourself. You had to break down all of that pain and abuse, that
Mm-hmm.
to turn off that loud inner voice that was so damaging to you,
Mm-hmm.
to rebirth yourself.
That shit is hard. It's not easy. And I believe that that's why most people stay in their state of victimness, and unhappiness and misery, is because it's hard to be happy. As stupid as that sounds, It's
Yes.
hard to be happy because when you've been told you don't deserve it, when you start to feel it, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I need to stop. And then you have to tell yourself in that second, no, you deserve that. Keep going.
Yeah, because in order to be happy, you have to shed everything, and that's uncomfortable. You always have to deal with an immense amount of discomfort to
Mm-hmm.
get to a level of peace, because
Mm-hmm.
you have to fight all of the predators, all of the dangers, all of these hostile things around you. And nobody wants to confront all of those because it's a
No.
it's a fight. And it's
Mm-hmm.
worse than a physical fight. It's so much more worse, and
Mm-hmm.
it takes so much more of your energy and so much more time than a 5-minute knockout.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. But it starts with waking up and choosing you, no matter what. That's the first foot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But choosing you means you have to discover you. There's just this whole line of process.
Mm-hmm.
If we talk about the ADHD mind, so
Oh.
people can talk themselves out of something because they'll break things into steps. And if
Mm-hmm.
you break finding yourself and if you break it into steps, you're like, oh, this is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. I don't
You
have
know,
time for that. I don't have the
yeah.
time. I'll try again later. Yeah, absolutely.
And then you make all these concessions. But like I said, we got to pretend we're 80 today,
Right.
because what happens, what happens if you don't? And especially as a mother now, you have people looking at you
Mm-hmm.
who are being inspired by you indirectly and directly, whether you know it or not. Your
Mm-hmm.
children are watching you. As a mother now who can look back, as a child, I was watching my mother, and what she did impacted me. The things she didn't say, the
Mm-hmm.
things she didn't want to tell us, that you pick up on,
Mm-hmm.
that all impacts you, that all goes to your own inner voice. And so now knowing you hold that responsibility, you're like, okay, I can't kid around.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's just as serious as life or death.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that's where you start to realize that they're a human being,
Yep.
you know, and not just like a human being that, was just born your mother, but a human being that has gone through shit themselves. So a lot of what was happening was projection.
Yep.
And so unless you're just a hardened heathen, you start to soften. But even as you soften towards them, that doesn't mean that should they not take accountability or even be apologetic about it, you don't have to stay there in that, because that
Right.
means that the abuse doesn't stop. That means that they still are the same way, they still feel the same way. But if you're lucky enough to have the mother who realized that she's not perfect and there is no perfect parent or mother, and can be apologetic for the things that have happened, then you're on the right track.
Yeah.
And I'm
Oof,
happy for you. As just
man.
my story.
It's so hard, especially if they're single mothers,
Mm-hmm.
because they sacrifice so much
Mm-hmm.
to be there for us consistently. Because people are like, oh, single mothers don't need an applause. And I'm like,
Yeah.
even if you don't want to do the work, even if you aren't fully present, you are still giving so much.
Correct.
So much.
And you know how many single mothers or mothers, and let's note, single mothers aren't just women who do not have a spouse or significant other in their home with them, because there are a lot of women who are married
Married.
who
Yep.
are single parents because their spouse does not help out. They are just an addition to the child
Yep.
group.
Yep. And that's very common.
Yes. But you're drained. You are on autopilot so much. And what's so crazy, and why I really feel that, men to a certain degree fear women, is that we're on autopilot. We are exhausted and we're still getting the shit done. And a lot of it is you don't even realize you're doing it. You're just doing it. And you're doing
Yep.
it. And you are succeeding. And so, I mean, and y'all can't even, watch a football game and change a pamper on a commercial break.
Listen. They can't. Think about it. Even think about how the intricate process of grocery shopping.
Mm-hmm.
The mom can be a whole wild ass mess at home, okay? But she did pretty much calculus to make sure the kids were fed. Like
Correct.
just on a very routine thing that has to be done no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, no, a parade is absolutely valid, okay? Even
Mm-hmm.
if they've got all this other work to work through, all these other ways they may have caused the children to think less of themselves or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
just keeping a human being alive, fed for, clothed, clean,
Mm-hmm.
thinking, functioning.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes without a break or a vacation, um, any kind of help, even financially, like you're just going through the yeah. Yeah.
And financial help, okay. So money can help you a lot. It can. But that is not the end all be
No,
all.
no, no, no.
Oh,
It just takes that stressor off of the table. But realistically, even though it's very important, that's the lesson. Kids don't give a fuck how much it costs. They want your time, they want your attention, they're upset, they're mad, and then if you're an adult who does not have any like emotional intelligence, then your kid is out of whack.
yep.
So it's chaos. And then if you do have it, you got to teach them it. It's draining no matter which way you look. And our bodies are not will never go back to the way they were prior to. Some women have babies and can't even move without peeing on themselves because it
Mm-hmm.
destroyed that. Some women have C-sections and really can't physically move around, but still have to because they don't have anyone else. So your body never fully heals. It's just always going to be an open wound. And then when you add open wounds with from trauma from your own childhood, trauma that you endure when you go to work, when you go to the gas station, there's just so much that happens on a daily basis. I mean, like teachers, you have to deal with all these kids, and we know how
Mm.
children are nowadays. And then you have to go home to your children. they're
Oof.
getting they're getting the least of the least. They may not be embarrassing you because you're a teacher and they don't want whatever is coming, but they know you're exhausted. How can you be present for your kid's soccer game when you have 30 other kids work to grade? Somebody is missing out. And since we need money to pay the bills, it's going to be the kids. So it's just not enough credit goes to single mothers.
Not enough.
Mothers in general who mother.
Mothers. Yeah, mothers in general. Like just being a present parent, or not even, see, we're not even getting into the whole other layers of being a present and intentional parent.
Nope.
Just being a basic standard parent requires so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it requires a thought process I wasn't really aware of until I started explaining to my husband, trying to walk him through it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's amazing because he just hopped right on board, but just having to break it down. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow,
And we do it
wow,
like that.
like that.
Yeah, we could rule the world. That's why they don't want us to read and write. They just want us to have babies and be weak, like physically, and then which then takes a toll mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you know.
Yeah. They want us to be machines for them
Mhm.
because they just want all of our labor for them because they know how great they turn out to be,
Mm.
and anything that we pour into is going to thrive. And so they just want us to put all of our magic and our energy into them so that
While
they
giving
can
us sometimes nothing. Doesn't even
nothing.
touch the service. Yeah.
It's true. I've noticed that the older I get, the more I take on, the more I'm writing things down and really working myself out. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay.
I always like to tell like younger mothers, no matter what, don't feel guilty
Mm.
about taking time for you.
It,
Because man, if you do not, when they are gone, you are stuck in a perpetual who the fuck am I? You've gone through so many sheddings of life, right? Childhood, your adulthood, motherhood, and now you just like, What do I do? What do I really like? Did I really like that back then? Because it doesn't seem really nice right now. There's a lot of that. Um, find something that you love and always do it. And even if they are crying and upset, I gotta have my me time because I can't take care of you not taking care of me.
It's true. And I'm trying to instill that into myself and model it for my children now. And my daughter, the oldest, I'm like, mommy just needs a moment alone. You know how sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you need your mental days because we give her hers as well so that she can understand. I'm like, we do a lot of parallel play. So maybe I am writing or building a costume or something and she's next to me, silently doing it. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to model it too because if you're always on the go, your kids are going to be internalize that and they're going to be machines of their own. And then you're going to be like, hold on, are you okay? You need to relax. And
Mm-hmm.
going to try to get them to pour into themselves, but it's never been a behavior that they've seen modeled by you.
Correct. You know how hard it was for me to not work this last like year and a half and just go to school. It feels I know that it's a blessing, but I still
Mm-hmm.
feel like a bum. And so I have to work my mind. And it's because I come from a mother who worked, and when she
Mm-hmm.
retired, she got another job. And when she didn't want to work there, she got another job. And then even after moving from California to here and starting a church and then working basically for the church for free. Like it's a if you don't do something and you slow down, then you die. And I don't want that. I want to be able to slow down
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy. And I started once I accepted that that's probably what this lesson that I should be learning in this season. Okay, then I'm gonna shut up and just enjoy it. But I'm ready to go back to work.
See, I still struggle with that, but I see people who do it and I'm like, oh, I need to get to that space because honestly, I feel the universe is sabotaging my job right now. Okay. I keep going through so many technical difficulties, specifically at times that I have to work, or
Really?
family emergencies happen at times that I should be working. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my bosses are going to stop believing that all these things are happening to me because it's like it's always something. I'm one of those those colleagues where there's always something going on. I had to get my computer, my whole computer replaced. And then I had to get my camera replaced. And
What's
then
going on?
it's been going on since, I want to say, October, November of last year. And I've started to keep track. I'm like, this happened
Mhm.
October, right before Thanksgiving break, this happened. Right before Christmas, this happened. Beginning
Mhm.
of the new year, it feels like every month something's happening. It's
Probably
it's
what it
bad.
is.
It's so bad. And she's just like, okay, cool, just call the attendance line. I'm like, I promise I'm not making this stuff up. I'm taking screenshots, I'm taking pictures
Mhm. You
to
start to feel like they think that you're making up just to not work, and that's not the
yeah.
case. But it could be time for a break.
It could be. And I'm just like, I told my husband, I'm like, I
Yes.
know, but what's the second step?
Mhm.
Like
Right.
what's the rest of the sentence? I need to know the rest of the sentence because I'm so used to just working. My mother, she was always working or earning something. She was just constant on the go all the
Mhm.
time. Even now, I just told you before the show how I helped her get her MBA, or
Mhm.
she's already accomplished, but she's learning some other stuff right now. And she wants to tell me about that. She never stops. So how am I supposed to stop?
Forcefully.
I mean,
It's
if I
always
don't,
the statement came back to me that I say you have to rest your machine before your machine makes you rest.
oof, it's true. And I tell my mother that all the time. I'm like, you need to take a break and you need to rest before your body forces you to.
Mm-hmm. Because you don't want it to force you to, because then you have to wait on it to recover. Right now, you can rest and then keep it moving. I used to not
Oof.
take naps because I felt guilty because like my wife
Mm.
is working, and what I look like taking a nap while she's working. I need to be doing something. And she's like, if you don't take your ass to sleep, Okay.
Yeah, because if you don't restart your computer after a while, it starts getting all wonky.
And that's it right there. In a nutshell, that's it.
For efficiency, we have to rest. And as Black women, rest
Ah,
is revolutionary.
you know what? I took a nap yesterday and it felt amazing. I think that's, and what's crazy is I used to love taking naps when I was younger.
Mhm.
I feel like naps really save us, but I felt guilty because I feel like, you don't really deserve that. You're conditioned to think that you should just
Mhm.
be on the go, conditioned to think that you just have to always do something. And sometimes you don't. You can take a break. If you're afforded to take one, then take one. So I want to start working and then make her take a break. Let's flip flop.
Yes, that's a whole other thing about marriage. It ebbs and flows.
Mhm.
Sometimes other people carry a certain weight and you carry the
Mhm.
other, and like it goes like this.
Yeah, that's why I think that those conversations, the 50-50
Oh,
conversations, are exhausting as hell. You do what works best for your family.
yep.
I was somebody on a podcast that's not paying your bills. I tell you how to run your home where you pay your bills.
Right.
That's why there's so many issues. You're looking for the wrong thing. Like, find your partner and make it work.
But you know what you have to do before you find your partner?
Find yourself.
Yep. Yep.
God. And a lot of these people and don't want to find themselves. Some people just love and thrive on that chaos, and I don't get it. That's exhausting.
That's what they were raised in, and that's their comfort zone.
Yep. Which is so sad.
It's so limiting. They attach their identity to that. Like, who am I if I'm not always rolling with the punches? Who am I?
Right.
Like, don't you want to see what you'd be like if you were flying? I know I want to know who I
Yeah.
am with wings.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
but the limitless sky is daunting. It is daunting. But if you're there, you're going to find wings. So
Yeah.
just go.
What is that? Who said? I just said it again to Dana. If your goals don't scare you, then you're not reaching far enough, or something like that. You're not dreaming big enough. You can't
It's
get your
true.
wings sitting in mediocrity. You just can't.
Nope. You can't. And,
Mm-mm.
and that's what this year is teaching me. It's just pushing me, and I'm looking at my other desk like it's
Yeah.
sabotaging my job. I don't know what's going on, but it's like technology is
Mhm.
involved.
Universe is pushing you because
Yeah.
deep inside,
Yeah.
it's just very scary,
It
and
is.
it will be scary, especially because you seem like we have the thing of not wanting to be in limbo and come. I
Mhm.
hate being in limbo. It is or it's not. I don't like that middle ground. And then after flailing in the middle ground, I realized that you have to trust the process. Because what's on the other side is much greater than where you're sitting now.
Yes. There was a podcast I listened to called The Blemish Beauty, and it's just like 7 minutes of nuggets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one was embrace the space.
Hmm.
And it was just another, her turning the phrase around of trust the process, embrace the space, because now you have space. When you're in your comfort zone, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have any.
No,
That's where
you
you are.
don't. You don't. Go back over there and lay down. Go.
They want to make a guest appearance in the show.
Yeah. Remember, I could feel her breath on my knee. Your tongue was gonna follow, girl. Just go sit down.
But I love how you're talking about how we're talking about embracing the space, because that's what I feel is a limitation with my mother and I, is she now has all this freedom.
Mm-hmm.
She gave everything to keeping up appearances per her, background, but also just making sure we're okay in a time where it was kind of difficult too. I remember she told me she went back to school because she's like, there's no way I can afford what I want to for my children on $10 an hour. I just can't do it. And so even going back to school
Mm-hmm.
for engineering, a male dominated field.
At
Ugh.
at that.
Yes.
Ah,
Kicking butt. for us, and I know it's for us.
Yes, yeah.
And so now she's free.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote that she prayed, and I could feel when she's praying for me. I could still feel it. But she prayed for me to be the best, you know? But she
Mm-hmm.
envisioned it being the version of me, like this specific version, her version of what the best is for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it unfortunately conflicts with
Yeah.
what that really looks like.
Mm-hmm. But also you will come to a point, um, I had to come to the point that you want your kids to have a certain lifestyle. You want them to be a certain way. They may not want to be that way. And you have to accept that or you won't be in their life. So you have to choose your version or how they live. And then you have to remember, we're not going to always be here.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be who they are going to be while you're still here. So they don't have such shell shock when you're no longer here. And vice versa,
Yeah.
because there's no guarantee. You never want to bury your children, but of course there's no guarantee. I love that she has freedom, you know. Um, because it's almost like she found a set of wings. May not be her permanent wings,
Mm-hmm.
because we still should be striving to be evolving continuously as we go older. um but she also set a standard for you with
Yep.
your children, and even if you take what you didn't like and you make it better to how you would have felt, your kids can find fault in that.
Yep. And they will.
Don't understand, they can, because one kid could love it, the next one could hate it. They have their own personalities and we have to accept that. um but yeah, she bossed up. I love that.
She did, but she had this cookie cutter version of me. I wrote that she held me, this baby girl. She never intended to be a mom, and she saw a second chance.
No.
She saw a second chance, and so when I was living, my best life in my early 20s, I'm
Hmm.
going salsa dancing every week and things like that. I moved cross country. I'm doing it on my own. I know she felt a great pride and almost not vicariously lived through me to a dangerous aspect, but just a little bit. Like
Hmm.
that kind of healed her a little bit,
Hmm.
seeing me do that. But then I get pregnant and it's just like, oh no, this
Yeah.
is not what I wanted for you.
Hmm.
And but it's like, mom, it works out. It all worked out.
Hmm.
It's
It's her
it's
pride.
instead of religion forcing me to
Right.
keep it, it was me. Like I knew that I wanted to keep my daughter, and I knew what I wanted to be. I still
Hmm.
knew. And it made me set foot instead of me going, "Oh, I'm going to follow a script." I
Right.
threw the whole script away. It gave me a newfound freedom. So what she feared for me was the catalyst
Hmm.
for her prayers being answered to a whole nother level. And
Hmm.
I've just been trying the past few years to explain that to her. Like, my life is surrounded by love,
Hmm.
and I'm in
She'll
a
get
place.
it.
Yeah, I want her to know, like, I get to dance for no reason. I'm soft enough to dance with my children and cry with my husband. Like, those are things you couldn't even conceive for me because,
Yeah. The backstop. Yeah.
yeah. And
Absolutely.
just getting
Absolutely.
her to see that instead of like, oh, I wanted you to travel endlessly and just be on your
Hmm.
own. It's
Because
like,
that's what she wanted to do.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's not what makes you or breaks you, you know. Um, she'll come around
I
because she
hope so.
loves you.
And that I
She
know.
likes you. Does that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be a part of your life. So, um, but realizing how much time you're wasting is, there's a tattoo that I want to get. Let me see if I can find it quickly so I can show you. And it's because I let so much time go away that I missed out on a lot of things and a lot. Oh, there it is. Let's see if I can push it. You see it?
A little bit closer.
How do I clear the
Oh,
glare?
I
It's
I
clearly.
see the time a little bit.
Can I turn it? Do you think if I turn this? Oh, that ain't gonna help either. Let's see.
Oh,
Come on now. Give me what I got. Did that help any? Oh, there you go.
oh, there we go. Oh, that's
And
cute.
it's like two people hugging, and you see you're trying to hold on up here, but you realize you wasted so much time. And why? And because of your own beliefs that you feel is better for your child than she feels is better than for herself. But to see you thrive has to be some source of pride for her and some source of maybe it's not what I think it is. It's not what I think it has to be, if that makes any sense. Like, you don't have to be here and living this lifestyle to be fulfilled and to be happy and to be safe and to be loved. You know, it'll come back around.
I know, but I know it's the reason I can't hate her is because I know these are her prayers manifested.
Mm-hmm.
But the universe, God, what divinity, however you phrase it, and your prayers will be answered.
Mm-hmm.
But they will be beyond what your human mind can conceive because we're
Mm-hmm.
limited to our own beliefs, our own standings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know everything that I am is because she poured that into me unknowingly. Like
Right.
she didn't know it would manifest this way. And I'm praying that, my children, they will be empowered and free and fulfilled in ways that I could never conceive. We're just going to take it to another level each
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah. And positivity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My children are going to humble me, and I can't wait.
Look, with very little trauma, because we
Right.
don't all need therapy forever.
Forever.
Because of what when I think about one of my favorite things about parenting is the fact that I always say I knew that my mother loved me because she took care of me. Even though that really wasn't good enough. Especially my view on that became harsher on her when I had my son. So I always use maliciously this way because I sought out to make sure that he knew that I didn't just love him because he was my kid. I like you. You're a human being. And really to this moment, my friends could call and say, hey, let's go do something. And then he calls, I'm going to go hang out with him because, he's a cool kid. And we get along. But I maliciously told him, I love you. Because I don't remember my mom ever telling me, I love you. There was no hugs. There was no love. And so there were things that I put in motion that makes me proud to see that he does it with his son. Because people say it's different when it's the opposite sex, when it really shouldn't even matter. That's your kid.
Right.
But I kept him the other day, and to see him get out the car and, pick him up and they still kiss and they still hug and I love you. And, he's always sad when his daddy is not around and all of that. And, just the love that's there makes me proud as a mom. Like I did something.
Yes.
I
Yes.
believe it because I didn't think I would be a good mom at all.
Ooh, ditto. But I wanted to. I wanted to be.
I didn't want to be a mom because I didn't think I would be a good one. I was shocked, and I'm thankful that I had it. Also, he saved my life because madness, living dreams,
living to die. But yes, my daughter saved my life too. I was roaming around aimlessly. I had no hope in anything.
I didn't care. I mean, I really didn't care. So when my son told me he was living his best life, and I understood that. And then you can actually talk to them from a place of, I'm not going to judge you for these thoughts. This is, because you know what it feels like, but you're open, but yeah, flailing through life.
Oof. Hard relate. But I'm so happy. I don't even feel like that was time wasted. That was essential because, like you said, now when my children are, if they ever go into that space or they're considering going into that space, they're exposed to it, I can have an honest conversation with them and be transparent and not judgmental. And that hopefully that makes them safer. My husband's always telling me that his parents always wanted him to be at home. It's better if it's in my home than elsewhere.
Mhm.
I don't know about the whole being in my home thing. We'll see. But I do feel safer being able to talk to them about those things so they
Mhm.
can see
And
me
you
as
can
a
always
human.
call me. I don't care. I
Yeah.
mean, to this moment, you can call me. I don't care. I'd much rather you call me than get behind the wheel. Much rather you call me than call someone else
Yes.
who may not help you out of that dangerous situation. And building that relationship is very important. It just doesn't come because that's your kid. And a
No.
lot of people fail at that. Which I don't understand is you grew up in that. And yes, it's comfortable, but then you have kids and you do the same behavior and you think that it's going to be different. You're living the life of insanity.
Right.
No, you made zero changes between your childhood and your parenthood. So you can't expect things to be different because it won't be.
Well, you've got to push it. And then your child should be foreign to you. That's what I think. If
Hmm.
what they're doing is just so different, that
Hmm.
means you instilled a lot into them to be true to
Hmm.
themselves and you succeeded in a way couldn't even conceive. They should
Hmm.
be foreign because when we're breaking generational curses, it's supposed to look different. The kids are supposed to turn out different.
Hmm.
They should not be cookie cutter.
No, not at all. Because that's not real life. It's really not. And really, you know, where is it at where they just had all of that rain? And because they were doing something with the clouds, Dubai, right? And they
Mm.
had those rains for like 24 hours and everything was
Oh
flooded
yeah. Mhm.
because you were trying to play God essentially.
Mhm.
Uh, it's almost the same thing as parenting because you do think there's some type of superiority feeling that you feel over that human being that you created. Um, and so you try to make them do things and it can be explosive. They have children that will follow you blindly for forever, unhappily. And then you die, and then the explosion happens because my parent is not here to say. And you don't want that. You want to be able to have an even kill. If people still may explode in the even killness, but you know
Mhm.
it's coming. You see it's coming, and you could try to stop the train wreck
Yeah.
from happening. Um, it's hard, and it never stops. To people who think that their kid made it to 18 and
Nope. That
no, it stops when you take your last breath. That's when your parenting here stops, but what you taught them continues on. So essentially, you never stop being a parent.
yeah. My mother told me that. She's like a mother's job is never done.
Mm-mm. The worry is different. Um, the fear is different.
Mhm.
You have that mentality. You can do whatever you want to me, but don't touch my kid. Don't mess with my kid. And then when then they go out in the world by themselves. Oh,
Mm.
there was a period of time, and even still, with my kid, he's a black man, and
Mhm. That's a whole nother level.
yeah, of not sleeping and making sure that your phone volume is up before you go to bed, so you don't miss a call and
Oof. Yeah, never done. Never
mm-mm,
done.
mm-mm. It does. It's forever. It's a
Ugh.
good job though. It's a good job sometimes. It's rewarding. I'm not gonna lie, it's difficult. It can be. Um, and so I recognize the things that I could have done differently, I guess, as a kid. Even though that's still making an excuse for her. Um, but I'm pretty sure I know that there are some things that I did that could have made it easier on her. Um, as a parent. But the one thing that I probably could have done to make things easier for her image was to be more girly. And
Mm.
that
That's not fair.
that would have never it would have never worked out. It would have never worked out, especially because Things like pink and dresses and Shirley Temple curls, those were like punishments for me. I did something wrong, so now I have to have my room pink when I could be
Mm.
guaranteed that it could be like purple. I really wanted blue or black or something darker because that's just always been my personality. But there is nothing that mentality is what I think. If I'd have been girly or I liked girly things, maybe she would have been happy. That's really those lines of questioning. What could I have done? I know that I was one of those smart mouth children, smart
Yeah.
mouth children. I'm getting my English together here. Um, but a lot of that boldness really came from the villain day that started my villain, attitude. But my grandmother um, she's the one who gave me the life lessons. And so never throw a stone and hide your hand. If you did something, admit that you did it. Uh,
Mm.
and so even if I did something, then I would just say, can I take the punishment? And then at a certain point, I got to the point where I'm gonna be punished, whether I did or somebody else did it. So I might as well.
Mm.
But even thinking then that's still letting her off the hook. I'm still a child trying to fight my way through life, and you gave me nothing but a hard time. But a hard time. Those questions, those thought processes, um, started my journey to moving forward towards forgiving, never forgetting, but
Right.
forgiving. Forgiving her. But the day that I asked her, like, there were so many other things you could have done. You could have swallowed, you could have avoided me, you could have given me away. And I used to beg to go live with my grandmother. All of those things you could have done, but you kept me just to abuse me. Why? And then
Mm.
asking it in the same tone that I'm asking you, you know, and not receiving an answer. Like you don't have an answer for it.
Mm.
And then I had the epiphany. You don't really, and looking at her was the first time that I really saw her after I asked her that question was frailness and vulnerability, and a deep-seated hatred, not for me, but for herself.
Mm.
Because the question is a reflection of who you are and what you did. So that's why I don't fully believe that you don't know that you weren't a good mother, or she doesn't know that she wasn't a good mother. Um, but that helped me to move. Oh, she doesn't like her.
Right.
So
That's
how
where it
does
comes
she like
from.
me? Ah, and that's when I started to really unpack being okay with not having a relationship because the abuse continued, the tear downs continued, the emotional, all of those things continued, and so you get to the point where it's me or you.
Mm.
I choose me.
Oof, I'm so proud of you, and that is where it comes from. At the end of the day, it comes from their own wounds,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not fair that the children have to carry those. But
Mm-hmm.
so often that's where it comes from. It's not that they didn't like you; they didn't even really conceptualize anything beyond the discomfort they have within themselves.
Mm-hmm. Because really, are you really even a real person? Yes, I have to take care of you, but you're an extension of me, and I hate me.
Yep.
Even though you didn't ask to be here. And then this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to have kids. I'm supposed to do such things, whether I do them greatly or I do them poorly. I'm just supposed to be a mom. How many people like look at the world, the men world in uproar because women don't want to have children because that's all we're here for.
Yep.
So it takes me back to women are for reproduction and men are for pleasure. So how many of you guys are really heterosexual? Because you're not having sex with your wife to create a life, to create more lives. You're just flailing as a man,
Oof.
as a
Yeah.
man, and sorry to the men that are watching this. um it's more than a notion to bring a child into life and to ask a woman to have your children, whether you and when I mean ask, sometimes raping is not asking, but now that we're being forced to carry those, you're
Mm.
basically telling me I have to. whether we plan for it, however that child gets here from you and the woman, she takes on a lot. You get to have fun and then you move on with your life. But our bodies are changed, our minds are changed. Sometimes we come out of that on the broken side. Our hormones are completely different. It takes a while for those to get normal if they return back.
If they return back.
That's a big if. Everything changes in life. And then you want to have a conversation about, well, I need you to pay 50% of the bills. We're going to go 50-50, right? Because I want you to pay the bills, but I'm not doing anything with these kids. I'm not cooking. I'm not cleaning. I'm not doing anything. But then when we're done, you're going to come home and give me some so we can create another life. On rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's how we get to the point where I'm not having no kids from you, and then I may end up killing you.
Oof. There was a lot of that going on back when women didn't have a choice.
Correct.
So much of it.
Coming back, we're coming back to babies being in the trash can. I saw something on TikTok earlier where some Republican senator said something about, in a nutshell, basically, if the girl is at ripe in some reproductive age and they get raped, isn't it better to marry her to the man that raped her than for her to terminate the pregnancy?
What? So we're back in the Bible days now?
Yeah. They're trying to take us, girl, they're trying to take us back. So reward the predator by further rape and abuse. Just marry them off. So she's 12 and she got her period. She's 8 and she got her period. And
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Girls are hitting puberty a lot earlier.
Mm-hmm. And I say that's by demand. It's in the steroided food that we eat. It's in the chemtrails that are released. It's everywhere. And so everybody is mature. Women maturing faster. Men, they're not. They're getting a different set of hormones that makes them more aggressive, that makes them think that no is not a real word. And if you tell me no, then I'm just going to kill you or hurt you.
Yeah, and now that we're in this weird place where women do have autonomy, but now we're also fighting for it. But when women have choices, it leaves men, as far as in the heterosexual world, leaves men to have to be better people. But there's nothing in society that holds them accountable or socializes them with the skill set to be that. And so you get these lonely, bitter, resentful, angry men because only a very small subset of them are being chosen.
Correct. And if they are being chosen out of that poor subset, they're making it worse. And they are also raising little boys to have their mentality and girls to think that they're inferior to men and they should be treated this way. Almost like, when white people teach their children not to like Black people and to hate us for various reasons. It's the same analogy.
It is. Like, oh, girls are supposed to do this, they're supposed to do that. If they don't want you romantically, then they're less than because you're entitled to their desire. Yeah, it's the whole same thing. And mothers have been dealing with that.
Then at the end of the day, if the child something is wrong with the child, who gets blamed? The mother. So we're still carrying the burden of everything else. I mean, the dad, no one says, oh, he's an absentee father. Something must be wrong with her. Like, there's something wrong with him that he created a life and left it. But, they have mothers who do the same thing. So when we say mother, that doesn't mean that you physically had a child. It's the interaction with that child. Once you brought them here to this earth and once they've been delivered.
And you know what? Oh, sorry. This just made me think about the relationship with my mother and my father. My mom made all the sacrifices, right? But now she's so cold and so hard. It's hard for her to see me as a person. My father, he didn't have to make as many sacrifices. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he got to hopscotch, and be theatrical, whatever. You know how that
Mm-hmm.
goes with the
Mm-hmm.
non-custodial parent. But he caused a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
However, because his was so obvious,
Yeah.
I got to deal with it head on. Cut him off for
Mm-hmm.
I cut him off for 5 years, and he got to learn so much during that
Mm-hmm.
time that now he's kind of in the palm of my hands. But he was forced to see me as a person because I had to get in his face and make it jarring
Mm-hmm.
because his failures were so apparent.
Yeah.
Whereas with a mother who already sacrificed everything, it's really hard to have that conversation, and it's just like,
You feel guilty. Like, how dare I have a problem? But I do have a problem. Yeah.
yeah. So it's hard. So when my father came back into my life, I feel that made him put even a bigger wrench
Mm-hmm.
between me and my mother, because it's like, you forgave him, but that's also, he comes from a place of privilege because he didn't have to be so cold. He didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to strip all this stuff down about himself. She has so much more to strip down
Mm-hmm.
to get to hearing me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure she probably feels a certain level of betrayal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you are supposed to feel that way about him that she does, but you forget that's my father. That's the other half of me. So that's a choice that's not yours to make, that I have to make that choice. But it is very interesting because even after having the conversation with my father about how I felt about things as a child, he apologized.
Yeah.
There was no mental gymnastics going on. There was no gaslighting. There was no blame. There was no self-pity. There was nothing that was going on to mask exactly what I'm saying to you and how you made me feel. It was, I hear you, I apologize, and then we move forward.
Yep. That's what it was for. And I think it's because their failures are so apparent, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not making a million excuses for them. Like, we're not
Mm-hmm.
dressing it up. Whereas with our mothers, we are more graceful, a lot more delicate because we know. But with
Mm-hmm.
the fathers, we corner them. So there's
Yeah.
nowhere it can go. But because we corner them, they
Mm-hmm.
have the privilege of attacking that head on, nowhere to go. And the reconciliation is easier to do because
Mm-hmm.
we are being more forward. Whereas with the mother, it's hard because you do feel that deep sense of
Mm-hmm.
loyalty, but I don't know, I
It's
can
a
never just,
connection. It's the
yeah,
first thing that we ever, her heartbeat is the first thing, and her voice are the first things that we hear before we even are born. There's such a connection there that even the worst of mothers, their child still
yep,
loves. There's a connection that's undeniable that you cannot break. Um, they can break it themselves, but you still feel the feeling doesn't go away. You just don't want to be up close and personal with it.
hmm,
Yeah, but but I guess that's why they get the ties and the mothers get the diamond rings,
maybe,
you
maybe,
know? Um, because even at worst of it, there are some men who are single fathers and they do a great job. And they build that connection. Um, Even mothers are still taking care of you and the dads are gone. So that's where that loyalty comes from. Um, but just like they have a father, they should understand that this too is, you know, even serial killer children's love them. It's a
yep,
love that doesn't, I mean, it doesn't go away, because how could you not love them but love yourself? You wouldn't be here.
yeah,
You know, and even the hidden parts of you of them that you don't like are still housed in you. You just choose whether you want to turn the light on or off. So it's very hard to hate that person um, on a continual basis, especially when you know better and you start to see that this wasn't as malicious as you thought it was. This wasn't done because you're such a horrible person that they had to do this. That's them and a
hmm,
projection that they, did to you. And so it just makes you look at them different. but it doesn't excuse the behavior, especially if they feel like they didn't do anything, like nothing was wrong.
Right? Because they're so intricate, it's harder. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's weird to say this, but fathers, even though we have a deep connection with them, they're still kind of removed, especially
Mm-hmm.
if they weren't the ones putting in all that work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you either get it or you don't. Like
Correct.
we get there to that space quicker, and so that makes for quicker reconciliation. There's only it's
Mm-hmm.
polarizing, very polarizing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas mothers, it's like,
It's like delicate because she gave, even if it was little, she still gave you all she had. And
yep,
so you don't want to be too harsh
yep.
until you're forced to be.
Until you're forced to be,
Mm-hmm.
until you're forced to be like, the only way I can honor the sacrifice you made for me is to
Mm-hmm.
distance myself from you.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I feel. Like the anger went away. Like I don't even want an apology, even though I know I'll never get it. I accepted that that'll never happen, but I still choose to forgive you because I can't house that in me. I won't, because then you're still abusing me. You're just abusing me from a distance.
Exactly. Well, oh, this was so good. So before we go, we've gotten so much good stuff in here. This has been so healing for me. Especially going through this brain leap with my mother, and I just got married, and here's a
Mhm.
little tea. My mother was not at the wedding. So
No, oh, because yeah.
so this was very healing for me, and I am going to share my letter with her, and share this episode with her because I feel that there was so much nuanced conversation
Mhm.
that hopefully
I
hopefully
I do pray that she is taking steps to learning who she is and to really like and love her, and in doing that she'll see that your freedom and your different thoughts is not a slight against her. It's actually bet she actually introduced you and set
yes,
you up for this lifestyle, so be very happy about your turnout and your happiness and the life that you chose, because you could be in a much harsher situation just to have this same mentality and be broken, and no one
yep,
wants to live like that. So I hope that she then learns to be free as well. And even if you're still in that situation, find freedom, find freedom there to understand and to accept and to love you for who you are and who you become, because you would not be this person had it not been for her and the sacrifices that she made.
exactly. I'm the flower that she planted a seed for.
Mhm.
And I'll
Yeah.
never take credit away from that.
Hmm.
But before we go, there's two things we're gonna do. The first thing is I like people to get on their podium, okay? And so we have this next segment called Something to Sip On. So I'm going to introduce our next segment, Something to Sip On. Yes, I saw you sipping. I saw you sipping.
I don't know what this is that she made, but it's really strong.
Nice. It's perfect for a Sunday afternoon.
Hmm. And it's rainy and nasty outside.
Mm.
Bipolar, it'll be hot tomorrow.
Yep, definitely for a few hours.
That
but
part. Go
but
ahead.
our something to sip on segment is just where you get to stand on your podium and kind of, if you had to make a quick little nugget, your little benediction for the audience, to give them something that they can take away to write about and reflect on in regards to motherhood.
I would say, accept that motherhood is not perfect. Sometimes motherhood is beautiful and sometimes it's not. Feel empowered that when you are in those moments where it's not, to, even if it's just to talk to someone or just write it down, get how you feel out of your system, because the more you keep it in, it festers and it will show up, especially at the most inopportune time. Strive to be the best you that you can be, because then you'll be the best parent that you could be. Be
Mm,
open and honest, um, with yourself first and foremost, and then outward ever since ever. Well, let me see. When the outward from then on. Let me get my words together. I told you strength is strong.
Yeah,
Jesus.
you did.
Man. Um, don't feel defeated. Um, don't never show these little people that you are weak. Even if you have to stand your ground 10 toes down and go in the closet and cry, do so. Because once
Mhm.
they find an end to play you, they will never stop and you'll never give up that feeling. Just to be real. When they get in their age, you will not know them.
Mm.
Don't beat yourself up. It is not your fault. Just keep doing what you do because they will come back to you. Hormones, the lifestyle that we do or do not understand changes them. They are with out in the world more than they're with you. When they are with you, be their peace, just like you want peace. Because when you motivate them in life, peacefully motivate, not abrasive, they then are empowered to be real people, not people
Mm.
who wear a mask just to go along, not people pleasers, not mean people. Um, Empower them, love them, like them, spend time to get to know them. Don't just take care of them because they're your children. If you
Mm.
want to raise a human being, treat them like a human being. The end.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself. That is just something to sip on. For mothers out there, get to know your children. Because once you get to know them, you get to know yourself some more too. And that's how you build that strong connection to protect them and protect and help nurture the relationship between you two.
Hmm. Yes,
Thank
definitely.
thank you so much for being on. This is such a good
Thank you for
season
having
finale.
me.
So before you go, I do want you just to let the audience know where they can find you if they want to keep up with you, if there's anywhere you would like to be found.
I think here is on Facebook is the only, no, I think it's Fatu the Greatest. I changed it, but I still have This Could Be a Book.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that I'm going to ramp my podcast back up, especially like this is encouraging. I miss the conversations. I still have a yearning to do so. I have a lot of healing and talking with you and with other people, those moments come about. And even if it's a work through that jars on my emotions.
Mhm.
So start to look back at some point. I'm not going to even give a date because school is school, but especially with math coming up. But
Oh.
man. But I am on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Fatu the Greatest is my name now. It still can be found under This Could Be a Book. Look out for some episodes because now Verbal T has verbally got me back into the game. I love it, man. I need to get back on it. Even
Yes.
just just to do something to get those emotions and those feelings off. Because I did even try, I think I commented on your post
Mhm.
about the video diaries. So
Yeah.
when like when the mood strikes out, and even though I don't like looking and talking, I still do it, and it's very therapeutic. So it makes me miss potting.
Good.
Look out, y'all, and hold me accountable.
I
If you
will. I will. I'm adding you to the group.
come on, yes,
That is the magic of the tea party. So thank you so much because that is
yes,
the magic is being
thank
convicted
you.
and getting your voice out there.
Yeah. Because I mean, and even though I miss it, just sitting here and talking is just like it felt like my skin is getting glowy and glowy and glowy because I'm having a good time. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Of course, I'm glad to have you. And then, as you all know, I will put where to follow her and keep up with her in the show notes. And you can always follow Verbal Tea at
Mhm.
Verbal Tea anywhere you stream podcasts. And if you want to keep up with us on social media, it's at Verbal Tea Time on Instagram and TikTok. Until next time, you guys make sure you are getting your thoughts out there, whether that's through video diary, through art, through journaling, but
Mhm.
spend some intentional time with your thoughts and continue to be well, continue to thrive instead of survive. Goodbye.
Bye, humans.